Okay, so now that our grout's all finished in here, I want to start with the finished plumbing for the shower valve. So I've got to put the shower head stem into the wingback fitting that's up there that we soldered earlier. To install these, I've got to wrap some Teflon tape. I prefer two to three wraps of Teflon tape and crank that into the fitting. Put on our scutcheon to cover the hole, and then Teflon tape again and fit on the shower head. So that should wrap up that. Then we'll come down here to the valve. We'll put the finished trim on there and the valve handle. That should all be good. And then for the tub stem, the type of tub stem I've got a threaded fitting that needs to go into the tub stem. So I'm gonna have to cut the pipe to the appropriate length, solder this onto my 1/2-inch copper line there, and then Teflon tape and thread on the tub stem, and that should wrap up our finished plumbing for the shower. Couple of things that I'd like to mention to you is that earlier when I was cutting the hole for the tile, I made sure that the tile hole was large enough that when the stem gets installed, I can see past it to make sure there's no leaks, but also small enough that this scutcheon covers over it. So I've got that all figured out. I like to do a test, pull back the scutcheon, run the shower head, and check down in there and make sure that no water is escaping from that joint. And yeah, the rest of it should be pretty smooth from there. So let's get started. Okay, so here's the shower stem. Got my Teflon tape here. Gonna do 3 nice wraps in a clockwise direction. 1, 2, and 3. Now, very important that when you're threading this pipe into your nut up there or your wingback, make sure that it's threading properly, not cross-threading. You can tell that by how easily it threads into the fitting. So I try to get at least 3 cranks, 3 full rotations, but sometimes they're snug before that. So you just got to make sure it's nice and snug, and obviously you got to finish off in this direction. So 2 to 4 turns is usually what it takes. I like to use a pair of channel locks with a rubber handle. Sometimes I put them inside there to aid me in turning, but you can't just turn by the pliers. You still have to kind of turn here to not break the pipe or get it all weird. So it's like these channel locks help a little bit to spin it on, but you can't entirely use those. You got to use both your hands to get the pipe to go into the threading as straight as possible. So here we go, Teflon tape's on. Get head up here. Get my pipe started. That's 2. Oh, see that's pretty tight right there, but I'm still trying to get one more crank out of it. All right, that should be good. I've got the pipe in line here, and you can see that if I use my flashlight, I can sneak around in this hole and I can see if water is in fact leaking out at that location. So again, that's why you make this hole a little bit large. Got my finished scutcheon plate. You've got to put that on before you thread your shower head on, okay? So again, 3 wraps of Teflon tape. Got the shower head. And on this particular shower head, this fitting is actually plastic, so you can't, and they don't leave you anything to put a crescent wrench or anything on. So I like to get it as hand tight as I can. And then I'll use the rubber ends of a pair of channel locks or pliers or something like that to clamp on so that I don't mar up the finish. And I'll get a couple more cranks out of it. Make sure everything's straight. That's perfect. And that's the finished shower head and stem. Okay, so now that the shower head's all done, I'm going to work on the shower valve and finish plate and handle. So you just basically have to follow the manufacturer's instructions for your specific valve that you used. Mine's quite simple. I'm just going to put this scutcheon plate on. These two screws hold that into the correct position. Finding these screws sometimes is a little tricky. Okay, got the finished screws on there. Got a couple of plastic insert pieces. This is for a temperature setting control. I just usually go with the max setting. If you've got younger kids in your home, stuff like that, you're gonna wanna follow the directions to maybe make it a little safer so that hot water doesn't come out right away, or that it is temperature controlled to a situation where it's not burning skin. Then this black thing goes on top, finished with another screw. Make sure everything's nice and secure. We've got a handle that goes on over top of that, and one more screw underneath with the supplied Allen key to screw that on. Now I've got these two plastic pieces. They're temperature control guides. Max setting is right in line to make it so that extra hot water doesn't come out. You can rotate these to the other settings to make it temperature controlled where it comes out. So I'm just gonna go max setting. If you've got little kids that possibly could grab onto that and get burned, is when you would want to make the setting a little bit less hot. So slide those pieces in. Got another plate. This is the plate that holds the handle after. Goes on top. And finally the handle. Got one Allen key that goes up in through this piece and clamps onto that black piece there, and that's what allows you to turn the water on and off. So okay, so that's all on. Okay, now for a test. so looks like the valve's working really well.